Hello walkers, and welcome back to Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is in fact the Tennessee River. We're above on a footbridge. We have done a couple walks here now, and today we're going to try a little bit different area. It's going to be the downtown area. Hopefully we'll see some big buildings and that sort of thing, and some historical buildings and that sort of thing. However, I think what we're going to first show you, since we're above here, is a couple bits of the river in the riverfront. So if you look down below, you'll see an island. That's McClellan Island, and it's a wildlife area. You can see some folks paddle boarding or kayaking down there. And over to the right is, I believe that's it says the Hunter House, but on Google Maps it says it's the Houston Center of Design. That whole area is the Bluff View Arts District. And we're not actually going to go over there. I think it would be fascinating to walk, but I'm not sure I can really capture it with the camera. So we're going to stick to a city walk. I'm going to twist you around here, so hold on to your side rails. Hi there, my name is Henry. I will be your proxy walker today, your virtual travel guide, your co-discoverer. The nature of this channel is it's a virtual tour of the cities. We do virtual tours of cities and virtual walks in cities, typically for treadmill walkers or anyone who wants to virtually travel, see someplace new, find out some little details. I am not an expert guide. I'm not an expert in these locations. I'm going to spin you around again. So if I make an error, correct me in the comments section below. I love hearing from you. We're going to do a walk around town. What I say is I call it jibber jabber as we go. Hopefully that's relaxing for you and enjoyable. If not, you can mute the video. If you're not into the talking and just want ambient sounds, probably not the channel for you, but I can make some suggestions for you if you want to leave a comment below. I want to thank all our Patreons. I'll thank you guys in a minute. First, I just want to tell you kind of a little more description. I get easily distracted in this channel. Those pointy roofs over there are the aquarium, big giant aquarium down here at the riverfront. And we did a walk over there along the riverfront the other day, so check that out. We're gonna walk pretty much a straight line. We're gonna duck over to Market Street, I think it's Market Street, and sort of just do a big, long, oblong loop and see what we can discover, see what we can find, and some visually interesting things. I want to give you another view of this building over here because it's really beautiful, built on the cliffs above the river. Chattanooga has about 180,000 people, which a lot of times I go to these places and I'm like, wow, you have that many people. It seems like a smaller city. This one, it's kind of the opposite. It seems a lot bigger than that population would indicate to me. But that's okay. That's fun. That's part of the fun of traveling, right? What else can I tell you? It is hot and humid. It's 86 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 degrees Celsius. And the humidity is probably up in the 80s or 90s. It's thick. It's late July, about a little before 1 p.m. I did a walk this morning over on the south side. Really cool neighborhood area that's been redeveloped and over the last, 2 or 3 decades, and a lot of fun over there. Beautiful area with the Chattanooga Choo Choo. This area up here has obviously been redeveloped. And I did a little loop through here before in that first walk, but so we will see a little bit more, but we didn't come up here onto the bridge. And I wanted to show that to you because I love pedestrian areas, bike areas, cities that are more walkable and livable, that don't require a car and parking and that insulation. I think it takes away from the community. This is the Edwin Hotel. Looks pretty schmancy, pretty nice. And then it's kind of nice because down here at the intersection, they've got we just passed an ice cream shop on the right. There's a coffee shop here. There's a little corner store where you can get some beers or sodas up here on the left. I think it's the Walnut Bridge corner store. And then a bunch of condos and apartments, I believe. And what's it called? It's called the Walnut Bridge Market. A nice shady outdoor seating area. That's one of the things I've noticed here is there are a lot of places have outdoor seating, and I love it. Being from Montana, where if you have shade, you can have outdoor seating, 4 months of the year. I'm a little envious, more than a little envious of, let's go down this way. We'll go down to the main drag first. A little more than a little envious of having those outdoor spaces. Fresh air, as much as city can have fresh air, but they do have a lot of trees, which I really like. And I probably, for the regular readers or viewers, it probably gets a little annoying hearing that. And speaking of regular viewers, I do want to take a moment to thank you Patreon supporters and the folks that have done a one-time PayPal donation. That really encourages me, and it does, I know it may not seem like a lot to you guys, but it makes a huge difference to me to be able to do these walks and to keep me motivated to do these walks, knowing that people appreciate them, people are getting some joy from them, and they're not just for me. So thank you guys. Across the way you can see a hotel, but also the minor league baseball field, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you know. I think that's called the Chattanooga Lookouts for Lookout Mountain. When I filmed before, it was on a Saturday morning, and there was a market going on down here, and tons of people. It was not overly crowded, but definitely busy. It was really kind of neat to see a downtown area getting use and enjoyment. I think some of these river cities used to have that riverfront space because it would flood and was kind of high-risk real estate. They just paved over everything, put in parking lots and garages. Wouldn't really matter if they got flooded. And that was, back in the day. And then since then, they've realized that it can be a really valuable space for the community, and one that is resilient for flooding and natural fluctuations. Make a double turn here. Kind of hopefully finding some shade. That's one of the differences of hot weather out west and hot weather back east. Kind of a neat restaurant over there, maybe. I just want to show you that a mural over there. Lots of murals around. I love it. Anyway, out west, you get in the shade, it's 95. It's still hot, but it's not that bad. It's pleasant, almost. Here, man, the shade is better, but it doesn't really make a huge difference. What is nice is a little breeze, which is what we're walking into right now. We came down on 3rd Street, and I believe this is Market Street that we are walking along. Real Good Smokehouse. Seems like it was a barbecue place at one time, maybe a brewery. I will say there's a lot of parking spaces down here, or not spaces, but lots where you can pay to park. The street parking is fairly affordable, though I guess we were on Aquarium, not 3rd. I don't know how much the lots actually cost. As we cross here. You know, it's a Monday afternoon, a little after lunch, so things are moving around, but it's not that busy. I think on the last one I commented on this building over to the right and this stonework, marble work. I like it. I guess I'm looking at some of these road signs and seeing that the University of Tennessee arena is off to the left up here, up 4th Street. And listening to the talking crosswalk signals. I think we just missed it. I'm always, if you have suggestions on how to handle these intersections, I'm a little loath to cut and restart, but also, you know, it's not the most exciting part of the walk. I have had someone suggest that I pan like this to get a good look down the other streets, and that's a great idea. But some of these crosswalks, they take a minute and a half. Maybe I can come back in later and cut it. Here we go. Wasn't too bad. Definitely smell some lunch scents. You know, South is known for barbecue, and I'm definitely getting a whiff of that. Maybe it's Mexican. A couple taco shops. Kind of some cool older buildings here that I'll show you in just a second. As we show you some of these old brick buildings. So the parking meters here are by app, Park Mobile app, or you can, a lot of them you can use a credit card for. Pretty affordable, couple hours, couple bucks. Taco Mac. Somebody got married. Couple more blocks and we'll get into some of the big buildings. Big granite buildings over there. That looks like federal type, courthouse type buildings. Not sure what that is exactly. Hoping for some shade. It's not as extreme a change, but it is a little bit pleasanter to be out of the direct sun. And honestly, it's not so bad. I wouldn't want to be a street repair person down here. I've seen people out in this kind of weather working on blacktop, and man, so this one says 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's right. Hamilton County Court Building is this lighter stone building. It's like Region Center Bank. And then we'll be coming down Broad Street in just a little bit. Well, hopefully that pan isn't too abrupt. Neat old building. And then there's this building across the street too. It's like a United Way office. I like the old, all this, I don't know what it is, molding. This stonework on the outsides of the buildings from the early 1900s or the 1800s. It's pretty cool. This is 7th. See, gets a little more industrial up there. And then off to the right here, down there, looks like they're rehabbing an old building with some really cool stonework. Go ahead and cross here. Market City Center looks new. So we're going to cross 8th here, and I'm calling these out just so if you're following along on the map, you can follow along. It's really kind of pleasantly quiet down here. I don't know if that's a result of the change in work practices, people working remotely, that sort of thing, or it's a time of day. Surprisingly calm down here. The Synovus building is pretty cool too. Tempted to go up there. Looks like a neat old building. I guess I'll just cross. Stick to the plan. There are a ton, seems like, of activities and things to do in this city. You know, I mentioned the aquarium. I've mentioned in other videos, Lookout Mountain, the funicular. The food scene seems to be pretty on point, I think is what the cool kids say these days. Or maybe that was several years ago, I don't know. There's just a lot going on. There's baseball, there's river tours, there's aquarium, of course, art museums, galleries, all kinds of fun stuff, music venues. I'm really impressed with it. So this is going to be Martin Luther King Boulevard coming up. And apparently, a friend of mine that lives here was saying that they recently redid this park over here across the way. And it gets a lot of use from the community, that it used to be sort of a kind of a rundown place and park. I'm going to go a couple more blocks here. And they've redone it, and now there'll be live music. Pardon my non-French there. Hustle. Which is great. Love to see the city investing in improvements for everybody. Sometimes, the improvements don't always go to plan, and a lot of unintended consequences and that sort of thing. But this one seems to have worked out. They seem to have done a great job. All right, we're gonna make a right on 10th, I think. And it's kind of nice to see it open up a little bit. We'll look back at some of these buildings, and you can see kind of the scale a little bit and the interplay of several different new buildings, old buildings, some buildings that are small still, and a few that are big. And then, yes, this is the public library. That looks like nope. Like it was built maybe in the 80s. Kind of industrial. But what are you going to do? It's a library. I have to say, personally, I love a good library. It just brings back so many wonderful memories of being a kid and going in and discovering new book series. And of course, I grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, where it was also hot during the summer, and having an AC refuge from outside, and I don't know, just that discovery of new and interesting stories, different worlds. It's a lot of fun. Very positive memory. My kids right now, we don't have a very big library in Livingston, Montana, but we do have one. And they are very good about having a lot of programs for kids and trying to make it accessible and an asset to the community, which I think is valuable. We're on Broad Street now and going to cross Martin Luther King again. It's a neat old building. So I'm going to cross here. Try and cross again. I got the timing right. Some cool separated bike paths. Now I understand that that has caused some issues with people damaging their cars, but on the other hand, it's also been demonstrated, having a physical barrier between the cars and the bikes has been demonstrated to be hugely more safe for both. My friend who does a lot of development here was saying that the guy who got behind this, got a lot of federal money to build a lot of this bike infrastructure, was showing that it slowed down traffic by like 30 seconds for a typical trip, but reduced traffic accidents, just that by slowing traffic down that much, it reduced traffic accidents by some large percentage. I don't remember exactly the number, but it's kind of interesting how a small change can have a significant impact.
I really like it, yeah.
This is a pretty cool building, the Capstar building looks like. So we come up on Broad and 8th. There's an e-bike with big old fat tires. And do a slow tilt up. You can see the decorative. So look at that building, and then contrast it with this building. Both have their aesthetic appeal, both have their drawbacks, but I have to say I kind of prefer this one. Maybe it's just the classicness of it. There's a lot more detail to it, and I'm sure that's so expensive to do these days, to get the artisans to be able to pay the artisans to do that sort of thing. But look at this. I guess that's marble or plaster or something. The detail, James Building. Sorry about the tilt here. Hi there. That's one of the things I love. I have mentioned before, I think, that, oh, look at this. Step out in the bike lane. I wish I knew more about architecture and architectural styles and what's behind all that. I just think I find it very interesting, and just to know it. I don't need to be an architect myself. Here's the old Tivoli Theater. Looks like it is, I don't know if looks like it's functional. I'm gonna step out here in the bike lane again. Really cool. Looks like maybe they have a music venue here. Classic old thing with a marquee. And looks like maybe they're working on this one. Another neat old building. I would say one thing about this bike lane is I've seen a few people on bikes, but not a lot. Maybe that has to do with the heat right now.
Well, no, it says every 5 minutes, but they don't follow that.
Instead of saying,
You know what, I think we're gonna go down this other, my reflection, down this other street just because I want to see the Second Presbyterian Church. Looks like another church beyond it off of Chestnut. Get a better look at this building. Also, I say I appreciate these buildings, the classic architecture. At some point, here's a kind of a mid-century, maybe 70s style construction. I don't know if it'll last, but if it does, who knows what our taste will be in 30 years. Will we be looking at those and saying, wow, those are classic? I have to think we probably will. The West End? That's a hotel over there, that gold building. So we're gonna cross Chestnut here, if I can get across in time. That's an interesting building over here. This kind of rounded corners. Let's go down another block here. Looks like they're doing some window cleaning maybe. Not sure I'd want to be on that rig. St. Paul's Episcopal Church over here. And we'll go down this way. Sorry to be swinging around. I kind of wanted to catch those window washing guys. Very cool, classic old church building. Kind of a, was that neo-Gothic maybe? Anglican style? Not sure. The Hotel Indigo. Kind of a fun little entryway. The elephants and the small kids smiling. Huh. All right, coming up on 6th. I guess this is now Pine. Oh, we went down another block. Pine and 6th. Whew. So here's one of the fun things about doing these walks. I didn't plan to make that little detour, but I wanted to go see those churches. So that was cool. I saw the churches. I like that. But now look at up here on straight ahead, there's a little green space. And I don't know if it's a pocket park or a dog park or what, but we're gonna find out. But we wouldn't have seen that otherwise. There's no way we would have known that was there from the other street. Back on Chestnut. There are a bunch of hotels down here. The ones we mentioned, there's Holiday Inn, there's a Hampton or a Hilton, there's a Marriott or two. There's a bunch. I guess this is just a little green space. I don't see any actual access to it. I don't see any particular purpose other than to be green. They've mowed it. Huh. You can smell the green cut grass. All right, so on our earlier walk, I think we came down to about 5th and cut around and made a loop. So I think what I'm gonna do is do something a little different than I planned and head up this street. 91 degrees now. There's a view up Broad Street. We'll go back across Market. And see, we'll go up this little hill here and see what we can find up there. We did pass by here earlier on Market Street and I called out the Hamilton County Courthouse. So we're gonna go up and there's a few other buildings up here. I'm not sure what they are, but we're gonna take a look. I'm just gonna cross. It's a very quiet truck. To the point I was wondering if it was a Lightning. But I don't think that's a Ford. Maybe it is. We're gonna cross Cherry up here. All right, so up there I see some razor wire. That to me says jail. That and the lack of windows. Whoops. Okay. Got some folks that are having a mental crisis there. Hate to see that. Coming up on Lookout in Georgia. Well, this is kind of cool. Little neighborhood. Which way? Which way? I think I'm gonna go this way. There are some cool buildings back that way, but I kind of want to make my way back to where I need to go. Look at this old gas station. Old service stations like this, I think, make fantastic coffee shops and cafes. A lot of them have that cover over there, open space, cool design from the 30s or 20s. Universal Joint Coffee. I think that's a transmission term, a part of the drivetrain. Look at this old building too. Looks like it was an old shop or carriage house. I love that. Those eaves. An old Bethlehem Wiley United Methodist Church here. Old. Fairly old anyway. It's interesting how, I say that it's interesting how, but it is, how some of these cities develop and you have a new multi-million dollar building. Maybe it's urban, maybe it's public building, maybe it's a private enterprise. And then you have here, Chattanooga's first school, 1835, a log structure. That's a while back. Several historical markers and informational markers around too, like the one about the logs house. There's one, or the log school. There was one about Swaim's jail, and I would love to stop and read all of these to you, but it's really not that kind of channel, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, I love this channel, it's great. But I would also, we always want to do everything and serve all the needs. It's not always possible. All right. Coming up on 4th, which I believe, I think I parked on 4th somewhere. I think that leads up over to the museum district again. So I think I'm going to go this way. Here's one of the park and pay places. Lots of spaces. Okay guys, I think that I'm going to call it here because I'm close to the car. Also, it's going to be a fairly long distance to get at any place we haven't covered, and it would still be pretty interesting. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to move on to Charlotte. Hopefully I'll get a walk in over there, and that's in North Carolina, of course. And but I've had a great time here in Chattanooga. It's been an amazing place, amazing time visiting with friends, exploring and finding all that this has to, or at least a small part of what the city has to offer. I can see this being a really cool place to come and spend more time, a week or two, maybe not two, but a week for sure. And, just have a good time. Maybe not so much in July next time, but definitely in like April or October. Anyway, thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you again soon, or at least next week. And until then, keep on stepping.